Today I want to talk about an interesting piece of Eurojunk I stumbled upon called Terracon. I found this game at complete random when looking for a completely different 3D platformer on the PlayStation 1 featuring a grey alien. This one, however, looked very interesting, so I gave it a spin, and boy was it a journey. This game only came out in PAL region. A US version was planned but ultimately cancelled for some unknown reasons. The titular Terracon is a computer brain designed by Doc to terraform planets to create habitable environments for the Grey. The game starts when the terraforming project has already been completed and the Council of the Greys has decided that Terracon is too powerful and needs to be shut down by Doc, its creator, accompanied by Zed, our protagonist. This of course goes south. The Doc gets killed, planet gets destroyed, Zed escapes alone and decides to stop Terracon from destroying the other planets, which of course happen to be in the solar system. Terracon is an incredibly ambitious game for the PlayStation 1, featuring huge open maps with very long draw distances, where you can explore mostly freely while working on your objectives. By today's standards, it's nothing terribly unusual, but back on the PlayStation 1, having all this with detailed models, night and day cycle, which is probably scripted but nonetheless impressive, with fairly complex lighting effects, depth of field, particle effects, and even ripples and waves on the water, and light reflecting upon the said water. There is also a really cool but utterly unnecessary distortion effect whenever you use first-person mode, which is nice because, you know, your main character is an alien. Probably his eyes look differently upon the world. Many of these effects would have been impressive on the PS2 and feel almost unreal on the PlayStation 1. If I didn't have the disc on me, I'd be inclined to believe this is one of those modern PlayStation 1 style games, but nah. The music is fittingly futuristic, features a lot of jungle beats, techno, etc., as it is a late 90s, early 2000s game. It is all a Red Book audio, which means it essentially plays back CD quality tracks while you play. This is extra impressive considering that at this moment in time this method wasn't really used anymore, as it would very often interrupt loading in most games. This game, however, is optimized like freaking clockwork, so they probably thought about it, and I never really noticed the music cutting in or out while I was playing. What I did notice, however, which is very nice, is that once one track ends, another one plays, so you don't always hear the same track on the same mission. There is a lot more missions than there are tracks, which is good. It kind of randomizes it. If you weren't afraid of the game messing up, you could even replace the disc with an audio CD and it would play music from it. Although, if you were to get another objective, there is a big chance that you wouldn't be able to complete the said objective. The combat is very forgiving thanks to a straightforward auto-aim and ability to shoot simultaneously in the direction of the camera, as well as the direction that your character is looking. It is very unusual for a game of this era to give you so much leeway, and I believe it was done to compensate for a very chaotic frame rate. The softlock I mentioned before basically works at all times. You can also have a harder lock, sort of like a Z-target system from The Legend of Zelda, by using the strafe buttons L1, R1. If you want to bypass auto-aiming for some reason, like for example a puzzle that requires you to shoot something that's behind another object that you can also shoot, you can go into the first-person mode, which is very handy for some of the objectives later on in the game. Survivability is also not really an issue, as you are protected by every power-up you pick up. Yeah, they all actually double as a shield. You do get punished later on as you complete the stage if you have them destroyed, but hey, that's better than having to use up a continue, which, by the way, those get made up from you picking up health ups. Anything that goes up beyond 100%, it goes into the stock of your extra lives. I don't actually know how frequent the checkpoints are because, honestly, I haven't died that often. The game is fairly generous in general when it comes to your survivability, which is good because the stages can get very long. The main gimmick of this game is picking up Genergy, which has multiple uses. The most direct one is increasing your firepower, allowing you to take down enemies with various resistances, as there are also multiple types of Genergy. Shooting doesn't actually use up Genergy, which is also shown very cleverly with the animation, as you can very clearly see it returning back to you right after it has reached the target or the extent of its range. Another use is as building material for various structures and machines that you need to use in order to progress through stages. You'll find meshes, essentially wireframes in stages that can be built using the Genergy. That is actually what most puzzles and exploration revolve around. You need to build a structure in order to advance to the next part of the stage. However, building said structure will often eat up all of the Genergy that you have. That's also part of the challenge, finding all of the Genergy in a given part of the stage in order to build the structure and advance forward. Sadly, this also means that your firepower will also deplete as you progress through stages. This was probably done in order to keep you on your toes as you're exploring the stage, because it's very easy to become very powerful, especially once multiple colors of Genergy get introduced regularly. Later on, unstable meshes get introduced, which can be destroyed after building them in order to regain the Genergy used in order to create them. The wireframe itself stays where it is, so in case you need it again, you can create it. It's quite clever, and some puzzles use it as essentially a weight on something, like a counterweight, or essentially a bridge, which you can destroy after you have completed it, in order to regain all of your firepower back, and essentially also in case you need it for another puzzle coming up. So you need to keep track of whatever construction you can destroy and whether or not you should actually still pulverize it. You also get some vehicles, actually really only just one, which is a jet ski, and the jet ski is fun. You get to ride around the islands, swim around islands. Many things you find with the jet ski are not mandatory in order to finish the stage, but definitely make it easier, like for example extra life or more Genergy that you don't need in order to finish the stage, but you will get a bonus if you find it, as well as secrets. But we don't talk about the secrets, except we will do, but just in a moment. Platforming in this game exists, but it's rather minimal, and thank God for that, because it's both busted and very unresponsive. Zed can climb mountains like he's a goat, as in anything that's not 90 degrees, he can climb it. He can just go up the mountain. You can also surprisingly easily glitch yourself up the cliffs, which are designed for you to not be able to climb them. But initially I thought that this had some speedrunning potential, but due to how rigid objective system is, probably there isn't as much as you may expect. The reason why you can't actually speedrun this game by climbing up cliffs you shouldn't be able to climb is mostly because enemy spawns and also object spawns are directly tied to specific objectives. So for example, if I don't waste my Genergy in order to create 2 boxes to climb up a specific ledge, a path doesn't open. An enemy carrying Genergy that I still need to destroy in order to obtain the Genergy is not going to spawn, and I'm just not going to be able to finish the stage. That said, I was actually able to complete certain stages without fulfilling every single objective. There could be some skippable stuff, and if somebody had some background in speedrunning, I bet you anything they could figure out how to find the most effective way around every single stage. There really isn't that much to explore in each stage. All you really need to get is the launch code and then get off of the planet. And once you know the values of Genergy you need in order to leave the planet and where all of the launch codes are, and if you can glitch your way to the launch codes, the game is not going to prevent you from finishing the stage or leaving the planet. The only thing I really despise about this game is the way that the secrets were handled. Early on, it gives you a lot of hope. There are a few interesting ones, like for example you need to save a caveman from an invader, or a wild animal. So these are pretty interactive. There's also one where you need to shoot a box, which will initiate a certain robot in order to suck it out, and then you destroy them, and that counts as a secret. Okay, a little bit random. But then it gets just worse, but not in a, oh, it's so complicated worse, but more depressing or arbitrary. It's just destroying boxes, or maybe picking up a whole line of health. Sure, whatever, but then it kind of starts getting in the way, because you may be thinking like, okay, I need to keep this health because maybe I'll get damaged and then I'll need the health, but no, maybe if I don't pick up this health right now, then it's a secret, and then I won't be able to get the secret, because I'm not going to be coming back to this, because it's just a little bit of health that's standing right in the middle of something. But it could be a secret. A secret doesn't even need to be hidden in a corner of the map. Sometimes secrets are just mandatory. Some secrets are also bugged, and you may need to re-enter the stage if they fail to trigger, which just... I was furious when I found out that that is what happened to me after I conned the stage 10 times over. And it wasn't a small stage either. I went through every single pixel of every single thing and destroyed every single box, only to find out that I have done the thing that it wanted me to do, except that the game didn't really notice it at that specific moment when I did it. There isn't even any reward for completing all of the secrets. I don't even know that if there is a way for you to know how many secrets you have completed in general. So I beseech you, if this game looks cool to you, which it should if you like PS1 games, just don't bother with the secrets. They will ruin your fun. Each time I found a secret in this game, I didn't go like, ah, fun, secret. No, later on, as I kept progressing through the game, it went from, oh, fun, secret, to, really? This box right here is a secret, but not the box that is standing literally to the left of it. Why is the box to the left not a secret? It's hidden in an equally uninspired way. But besides this optional aspect that has no bearing on progression of the game and absolutely no reward, the game is totally awesome and absolutely worth checking out. Especially if you like PlayStation 1 games or games that look like they came out for the PlayStation 1, because this one certainly does, even though it just has no place being as advanced looking as it is. So this was my first review on this channel. If you liked it, have a nice day.